I'm Cathy.
I'm Rachel.
I'm Ola and welcome to Luna Bear Book Club.
It is June, nearly the end of June, and that means it's time for a Midyear Freakout! Why is it called a Midyear Freakout?
I think the idea is that in the middle of the year, YouTubers freak out about books, and you then you answer these questions about all the books you're freaking out about.
Okay,
I
so
think
it's not that half the year's gone. What am I doing with my life?
It might be that too. It might be a freak out of like,
Thanks,
oh my
that's
goodness,
me.
where's the year gone?
You're freaking out about books. I'm freaking out about the fact that half the year's gone already.
Yeah, time.
I spilled
Time.
time.
The wheel of time is everywhere.
We have 13 questions to answer about books. The best book you've read so far this year?
For me, I'm going to pick Fables Wolves, because that's the one where Snow and Bigby get married and... spoilers, sorry. I just really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm really
Made me
glad.
happy. And I haven't read that many books.
Nice.
What about you?
My favourite book I read this year is The Whisper Man. The Whisper. Talk about The Whisper Man.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
The Whisper
The Whisper Man. I'm not going to keep on whispering.
Outrageous.
The Whisper Man by Alex North. I absolutely loved this crime thriller spooky book. It was so tense and scary and fast paced and satisfying, and it just ticked all the boxes.
Nice one.
Spooky.
Question number 2.
Number 2.
Best sequel you have read so far this year?
Right,
Ooh.
as I said, I haven't read many books. But I've just recently finished reading The Mystery of the Blue Train, which is... Well, it's not a sequel. Like, are we saying sequel has to be the second book, or can it be any following book?
I would say any following book.
Okay, well, this is a Hercule Poirot novel.
Oh, nice.
And I read Mysterious Fairy Styles last year,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it. And then I was reading this one, and it was different to Mysterious Fairy Styles, just the format of it, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Agatha Christie said it was her worst book, but...
Really?
Yeah, but I thought it was good. Maybe I'm just too basic.
My favourite sequel has been, Ola picked it out herself, The Hawks of Delamere, part of the Doomsday book series. I'll pass it to me, kiddo. Again, similar vibes, detective series. I think what I enjoyed about this so much is, like, the mystery was quite tricky to solve. In fact, I did not solve it. But also, there was this stuff going on with the Welsh army, like, provoking Chester to attack. And they were doing some really clever things. It was so satisfying to read, so I really enjoyed this one.
Number 3, a new release that you haven't read yet but want to read.
Okay, for this one, I'm really bad at keeping up with what books are being released.
Yeah, same.
So I googled book releases this year, and actually there was a book being released this year that I have not read that I would like to read, and that is Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConney. And she wrote Once There Were Wolves, that I read last year. And that was a really good book, set in Scotland, where they were trying to reintroduce the wolves into the wild, and then there was a murder mystery around it, and it was really cool. And this one is meant to be, let me just read it, with sea levels rising, Dominic Salt and his family guard the world's largest seed bank on a tiny Antarctic...
Seed bank? What's
yeah,
that?
I think a place where they're keeping seeds to preserve them for the future. On a tiny Antarctic island. When a mysterious woman washes ashore, agendas and secrets are revealed.
So did that come out?
That came out in March, and I have not read it yet. And I think it sounds amazing, and I would like to read it.
So, Cathy sent me these
Two
questions
bookshop.
2 days ago, and I haven't had much chance to think about them. I looked at this and I thought, I don't know any books that have come out this year. But, so I read Delegate Dream Department Store at the beginning of the year.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the second volume of that translation either was released, it might have been the end of last year, it might have been the start of this year, it was probably the end of last year. Like, the book itself came out a couple of years ago, I think, but
Yeah.
the translation came out recently.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say that.
That's your...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I enjoyed the first one, and I will read the second one. And I don't know any other releases, because I'm
Well, yeah.
ignorant.
Well, same, which is why I actually don't have an answer for the next question.
No,
Which
same.
is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I don't have
Yeah.
one. I tried looking them up, but they kept giving me ones that have already been released. So.
Should we get? I'll Google some right now.
So
Books coming out. Boom's coming out.
Do you not find Google is so rubbish? Even use ChatGPT to get a more specific answer, and I still struggle to find like just a comprehensive list of books that are coming out for using ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Even as a search engine.
Yeah.
Why?
Absolutely awful.
Is that not okay?
No, it's not okay.
Why?
AI gets things wrong.
Like I'm not using it to disenfranchise artists, I swear.
Penguin.
Okay, I think the honest answer is
One of them was July, May, April, March,
the weird thing is that
January. Oh, I remember when the Pope died.
Yeah.
February.
the weird thing is that
I'm still looking at the list!
in October, November there'll be loads of books that get released
absolutely.
because they release them in time for it to be part of your Christmas shopping. However, the publishing industry is not making that information very well known to us right now.
I think that's the time where all the books and all the movies come out.
But I think the honest answer to this question is that
We don't know.
we're not anticipating a
No.
book release.
We don't follow, well, I definitely don't follow publishing news
No, I
bulletins
don't.
well enough to know what's coming out.
We don't have an answer to that question.
Wait, hang on, I'm sure Brandon Sanderson is releasing a
Well, it will be.
Isn't the sixth Game of Thrones, The Song of Ice and Fire, supposed to come out at some point?
But I'm not reading it.
Well, yeah, but I've read the first 5 like 10 years ago, but I read them. I would read the 6th one if it came out. It's not coming out.
I only ever read the first book of Game of Thrones.
I don't remember much about it. I did enjoy the books.
Yeah. I read the first book, but I remember feeling like, I'm, at that point, I'm enjoying the TV show more than I enjoyed that book. Oh, foolish
think-
child.
I think we should move on to the next
Yeah.
question now.
Okay, your biggest disappointment of the year.
Right, I've just read this play called Brief Encounter. There's an old coward play called Still Life, which he adapted into a film, Brief Encounter, and then the play that I've just read was adapted into a stage play based on the film and also the original play, and I just found it dreadfully boring. It was nothing happened in it. It was well boring.
Because it's still life.
Well boring.
Mine is Remarkably Bright Creatures,
Uh-huh.
which I was so excited to read because it sounded like all the things I love. It's set in a small town. It's a bright yellow book and has an octopus on. There's about, I know, right, it's a small town. There's a little aquarium. There's a really clever octopus in there called Marcellus. And he is going to try and help the cleaner solve the mystery of her son's disappearance 20 years ago. And there's also a guy coming into town who never knew who his father is, and he's got like a chip on his shoulder. And everything,
Chip on his shoulder.
yeah, like he's angry at the world because his mum wasn't very good, he never knew what his dad was, he feels like everybody else has got more than him. So it's got all the elements that I thought I'd like. A mystery, a quirky animal that's going to be involved, a small town vibes, and even though those elements were there, the book itself, it just didn't feel very well written to me. And like from the opening 2 or 3 chapters, you could tell everything that was going to happen next. There was no surprises or twists.
Did you do an effort?
I skim read it to the end just to see if anything interesting was going to happen, and I am resentful to the Bookstagram and BookTube community because you proper sold me on it, and I trusted you, and I was really excited to read it, and it just wasn't that good, and it's your fault.
It's your fault, guys.
Your fault.
How do you feel about that?
Next question. Biggest surprise of the year.
Right, I'm going back to the Mystery of the Blue Train. Again, I haven't read that many books. My life has just been... Boom! Maybe it's because I wasn't probably paying attention because I was audiobooking it, but the solution at the end, when it all was revealed, I was like, what? What?
She's good. She pulls those mysteries out, doesn't she?
But, so I was reading it with Aaron, and Aaron was like, I finished before him, and then I asked him who he thought the murderer was, and he was like, tennis. And I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And then He was right. He was right. How did he pick up on that and I didn't?
He's a smart boy.
But yeah, I was very shocked. Very shocked. What about you?
My biggest present of the year, I don't have it with me, is The Housekeeper and the Professor.
Mhm.
Which is a book I picked up in the
That sounds
lovely
cute.
library. It is so cute.
Please.
Yeah, it's a really cute story, again, of a housekeeper.
And a professor.
And a professor.
Remarkable.
So, she gets a job.
You were surprised? It's actually right in the title.
I know, why did I thought this was a surprising one? I think I was surprised by just how charming and engrossing the story was. So a housekeeper gets a job where she looks after this professor's house, but the professor had a car accident injury, and he has no short-term memory, so he forgets her every day.
Aww.
And he has all these notes pinned to his suit to help him try and get through the day. And although he can't really remember her, they build up this friendship and connection, and he really connects with her 10-year-old son.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment she learns that she has a son, he's like, oh, you got to bring him round, don't leave him on his own in the evening, let him come here and we can all eat together. And they make that this little cute family unit, and I think I was just surprised at just how sweet and engrossing the story was, even though there's not much that happens in it.
Yeah.
It's just a really sweet story of friendship, and I
Aww.
loved it. Next question. Favourite new author?
I do have an answer to this.
Okay. Is it Agatha Christie?
No. She's not new to me.
Yeah.
I read her in December.
Oh, yeah.
I read her over the turn of the new year. I counted her as 2024 because
Yes.
I think it was like 10 minutes after midnight that I finished the book. I was at a party with my friends and I was just reading the book. Yeah. Like distractedly. I was obviously getting involved with the
Yeah.
party shenanigans, but
When you got to finish a book, you got to finish a
yeah.
book.
And then they were all like, "Come on, Rachel, you can do it."
Oh, you've got such supportive friends.
Anyway, my favourite new author is from our library scavenger hunt that we did. We should do
Yay!
another one of those at some holidays.
My favourite author's from that game too.
High five!
Yeah, let's do that.
So I got a book of reimagined fairy tales, folk
Yeah.
tales by someone called Kelly Link, and I've just really been enjoying it.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Same story. So we played that library scavenger hunt, and
Was it the French house?
it was not the French house.
That wasn't set in France.
If you didn't watch that video, part of our challenge was to find a book set in France, and I picked a book called The French House.
And you were like, yes, I got it. This
Yeah,
is the
and
best thing ever.
I got it
and then
really-
it wasn't. And then it was set in like Germany or something.
It was set on Guernsey.
Yeah.
So it wasn't.
Which meant that I won the game.
Yeah. So we definitely need to have a rematch soon.
Yes, Rob's back.
Hi, Rob. Shopping.
Oh.
So, but I did read in that One Night Beneath the Lemon Trees by Mary Corras. Let me make sure
Was
I
that
got
one set in Cyprus?
Mary Carras. Yeah, that was set in Cyprus and London, and it again was just so beautifully written. I would really love to read more of her work because I thought she was very perceptive.
Maybe she has a book coming out in the second half of the year.
Maybe. I need to keep my eye on her. Oh, new fictional crush. I have kind of cheated for this one. I don't really get fictional crushes as such, but to go back to the Hawks of Delamere, because I've been reading a lot of the Doomsday book series, I love Ralph and Goldie's relationship in this series. So my fictional crush is them together. I'm into that romance. I love how much they love one another and how well they bounce ideas off one another, and how like at the end of each day when they go back to the different castles they're in, they're just like, oh thank goodness we just get to be together again, and I love it. So that's my answer to that.
I don't think I have an answer.
That's okay.
Pass.
Pass. Do you have a book that made you cry?
Memory of Light. Finished reading that at the start of the year. Probably cried. Probably.
My answer is similar. Wind and Truth. So
Ah,
I read that in January.
those epic fantasy novels will get you.
They will.
They'll get you.
We're so similar, aren't we? A book that made you happy.
No, you know what?
Have books that made you happy this year?
I've been reading a lot of war poetry. I'm gonna revert to an
Okay.
old trusty Fables Wolves.
Yes, that was a happy edition of Fables. A book that made me happy was a children's book, or a supposedly children's book.
Yeah, those. Every other word is hard to pronounce, and you didn't even know what it means.
Yeah, so Rip Van Winkle
Very old.
By Washington Irving, a little collection of kind of folk
Concoction.
and fae stories. Yeah, apparently a children's classic, but I'm telling you, the language in this is very sophisticated. But the stories were just really charming and funny, and I really enjoyed reading them. And reading this, I learned something. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, originally a comedic story more than a horror story. I know. There's a little bit of horror in there, but it's definitely more tongue-in-cheek, a funny lark romp of a tale. You check out the language.
It beguiled their wayfaring with recollections of their military scenes and adventures. The Count was apt to be a little tedious now and then about the reputed charms of his bride and the felicity that awaited him.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a whole story in here about a guy trying to court a young lady of a house, and he is desperately trying to impress her with his knowledge of metaphysics. And he keeps like trying to talk about different things like history and culture and metaphysics, and whatever he brings up, she actually outwits him, or she knows more than him, or she can speak the language better, or she's more well versed. And he gets more and more frustrated, so he gets more and more outlandish theories to discuss over the supper table. And eventually her dad kind of pulls him aside and goes like, this isn't a really good way to like talk to women. Like, you could just listen more and have like genuine conversation instead of trying to show off your knowledge. And that's the story.
That's the whole thing. Then
Yeah.
what are the little gnome guys on the front?
Oh, that's a different story. That's a fun story.
Little gnome guys.
Little known guys. So yeah, that was
Gnome
just
guys.
a short book that made me happy because I enjoy reading folk stories. Most beautiful book that you've bought this year or have received as a gift?
Well, I haven't bought any books this year. Go me.
Wow!
Wow, that's horrendously out of character.
Well, you're about to buy one on Audible when you get home.
Oh, I don't think Audible doesn't count.
It doesn't count. Doesn't count.
That is a very good observation.
It is. But I was given this for my birthday.
That is
It's a
beautiful.
copy of Wuthering Heights with a nice gold cover and gold pages. Have you read Wuthering Heights?
I love Wuthering Heights.
Maybe we could talk about this together.
I'd really
Would you
like
rather
to.
talk about this or Jane Eyre? Obviously, we'll talk about both eventually. But
You
would
just-
you rather talk about this or
You
Jane
keep
Eyre?
on getting upgraded copies of.
Jane Eyre.
Yeah.
I
I've
think
got
Wuthering.
6 copies of Jane Eyre, haven't you?
I only have one now.
Oh.
I've been on the search for my permanent version of Jane Eyre, and I think
Okay,
I found
you've
it
got
now.
it.
I think Wuthering Heights would be really good to talk
Right
about.
then.
I am not sure.
I'll enjoy it.
No. Well, I'm not. I think you might enjoy this piece of reading it. I think you're going to come to me and go like, Cathy, all these characters are terrible people.
Well,
Why
yeah,
do
I
like
know
this
that they're all terrible people. I know the story of Wuthering Heights. I just haven't read it.
book?" Yeah.
But yeah, I know that they're all horrible.
Yeah, and they're kind of telling the buzz, but I think I love them anyway. So yeah, I really like to talk about that with you. So yeah,
Okay.
cool.
This pretty book that I was bought.
That
for
is
my
a very
birthday.
good book.
Shiny. Did you ever watch the Shiny show? No,
No.
you're a lot older than I am. I didn't mean that.
Ouch.
I meant as in it was like a baby show when I was a baby.
Okay, then. I mean, like, accurate. Again, this is a bit of a cheat because I think I got given this for Christmas.
Ah, who cares?
This is a very beautiful book, and I've only read it this year.
Ah!
Look at that. It's
got a bird on it.
It's got a bird.
Ka.
I kind of love this style of art,
Mm.
and it's a collection of horror and folk tales set in Cornwall.
Ah.
And I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a really pretty book. Okay, last question. What books do you need to read by the end of the year?
100 and something million.
Well, we just added to your reading list as we were doing this video.
Did we?
Or were you going to read Wuthering Heights? Oh, I guess that was already on your list.
Yeah, that was already on my list. Many.
Many.
That's my short answer. You've all seen my TBR videos.
100.
I just got rid of a lot of books off my TBR actually.
I was so proud of you.
And
I'm
I think
happy for
I
you.
think more could stand to come off. I just need to get into the right space. What have you got to read by the end of the year?
Okay, so I'm in a different position to you. Once I finish my current read, which is The Elephants of Norwich, I don't have anything in my TBR apart from these books I just bought this week. So books I need to read by the end of the year, A little story behind this. Last weekend we went to a baby dedication of a friend.
Oh.
And whilst we're there, it so happened that another one of our friends, Tom, lovely Tom, and his daughters were there. And we haven't seen Tom in like 10 years.
I didn't even know he existed.
You know this is an old friend, mainly of Rob's really, but just a really lovely guy. You know when you just see an old friend and then you have a really good long catch up with them and you're
Apparently Tom never aged.
no, he's not aged, and his daughters were just absolutely lovely, and it was really nice to catch up. And he's quite creative and stuff, and we were talking about our different creative projects. And he recommended a book to us called The Artist's Way, apparently quite a famous book in the 90s, written by James Cameron's wife, Julie Cameron, who's also an author and writer. And the idea is, it says a spiritual path to higher creativity, and it's the idea of doing these like activities and connecting to God, or sometimes the creative force is described in this book, to be a more creative person. And it just sounded really interesting. So I was like, oh, I think I want to try that. And so I looked on Amazon and, oh no, we're out of battery. And there was a set to get all 3 books that she's done. So there was The Artist's Way, The Listening Path, which followed it, and The Artist's Way workbook, so you could like answer questions at that raises and write it. So I kind of am in the mood to kind of reconnect to my writing a little bit more. So I thought I would get all 3, and I'd really like to work through them in the rest of the year and
That's cute.
get back into writing again. Cause
I also have a book that I want to give you called The Maggie, which is about a Scottish person.
I think I've seen you talk about this.
I have. It's a book that I'm getting rid of, but I thought it's quite a short, cute story that I think you might enjoy.
I saw it in your video. I was like, that was good. There was another one that you had. Was it The White Horse? It was like a children's book or something.
Yeah.
And it rang a bell. Maybe I've read it once before.
You might have done, yeah.
Anyway,
time crunch.
That's
it. Bye. Tune in next.
That was our mid-year freak out.
I'm freaking out about that the camera's about to die.
Yeah, the camera's about to die.
The Book Club will be here next Friday. Bye.
Bye. I think it was just as big a surprise of just...
Actually, I think your biggest surprise of the year is finding out that the French house wasn't St. Friends.
yeah, that's the biggest surprise.
Sorry, please tell us about the housekeeper and the professor.